Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is the Experiment, the Pittsburgh Steelers edition. I'm your host, Joe Soro, and I wish I had better news to come into the show tonight. I thought the Steelers had a good chance to win tonight. Little do I know, watching every game this century. But the Steelers absolutely got destroyed, and the score doesn't really. I don't know if it says exactly what happened. The last couple touchdowns were more kind of late. I gave up touchdowns, but the reality is the Steelers have shown that they're just not able to close very well. Even the games that they had won, they'd go into the fourth or they'd be in the beginnings of the fourth, and they would be ahead by a couple of scores, and then it's a nail biter. It's one of and I know the NFL's kind of like that anyways, but even before it became the norm all through the NFL, this was kind of standard procedure. And it's funny because you see the record that Mike Tomlin has, and he's lost like one game when he's up 10 points. Uh, it's just. When you watch the games, it tells you a different story. When you look at the box score, when you look at stats, more often than not, they're not the entire story. What is the story and what is 100% the image and the tenor of the team is what you saw tonight, and that is seventh straight playoff loss. And I believe the last five have been by double digits, and I think I heard it tied Marvin Lewis's seven straight playoff loss record. So Mike Tomlin has some records that he's putting together here with his 200 regular season wins, and again, where stats becomes a hilarious subject. What you're seeing now is the stats that matter come about, which is 0 for 7 the last 7 playoff appearances. And also you want to factor in that in 19 seasons of him being the head coach, he's only made the playoffs 5 times. And the ones that really mattered in terms of wins were really at the end of the 2000s and just a small beginning of the beginning of the 2010s. I don't even really consider 2010s the 2010s. I mean, that's zero, right? You're starting. I know it officially is, but if you take away 2010 and go away, you're talking about a coach that has been touted as this great thing for 16 seasons or 15 seasons, and yet has only won 3 playoff games. I'm trying to understand what exactly does the term great mean? I hear that word so much now. So much. Every 5 minutes, somebody's great, somebody's epic, somebody's the GOAT. I mean, people talk out of their ass, ears, and nose all at the same time at this point. They don't even talk just out of their ass. They talk through all the orifices, except the one that matters, right? So what is going to happen now? And yes, Tony, I got that. I got that photo from one of my buddies at the Steelers fans forum. Very, 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 very good Steelers forum that I daily view for information and to banter with my fellow Steeler fans. And there was a gentleman that had posted that, and I couldn't help but think that's the exact same thought I had. It's just manifested into that. So I thought it would get at least put some levity to what's going on here with the Steelers. Another year, another destroyed first round showing in the playoffs, and this at home against a quarterback that they played that essentially was handing them the game. See, this might be the worst one in a lot of ways, because this game was being handed to the Steelers and they still didn't take it. So what does that mean in the end? In the end, and this is for all of the Rich Eisens and the ass kissers on all the 4-letter, 3-letter stations that for some reason have to kiss this motherfucker's ass. I don't know what the deal is there. I have some theories, but I'm not going to get into the theories because I want to talk about the truth now, okay? The truth is Mike Tomlin needed to is just I don't understand how you look at this in any way, in any way, as a fan, as an analyst, as an owner, as a general manager, and say this is acceptable. It's not acceptable. This is a results business. 7 straight playoff losses. If Mike Tomlin isn't gone for 2026, what is the point of watching these guys play anymore? It's the same story. It's the same result. It's Groundhog's Day, but at least Groundhog's Day, after an hour and a half, had a good ending, right? Groundhog's Day eventually ends. And it was funny at least. This is not funny anymore. And I call me a homer here on this one. But again, guys, I mean, one thing I don't like is everybody blaming Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of people blaming Aaron Rodgers. Guys, these problems were here before Aaron Rodgers got here this year. So if I'm not going to sit here and blame Aaron Rodgers for what's going on. If Aaron Rodgers had a competent offensive line and some good receivers, I have no doubt he probably would have been a Pro Bowler. And call me naive, call me homer. I don't care what you call me. I watched him play in 16 games. Is it 17 games now? Yeah, technically it's 7. Yeah, 17 games because he missed one game because of his broken wrist. What do you want me to tell you? The really bad game he had was against the Chargers. He was missing throws all over the place. And he missed throws here and there, but ultimately what you saw, what was it, second quarter, end of the first with Mr. Earrings in all his ear and nose. You know, he's really good at doing that kind of stuff. He's really good at that, right? Dropping a wide open pass that would have got him to, I think, the 25. Maybe they get into a score touchdown. Maybe things change. Football's a momentum sport like any other sport, man. You go up 10-0 at that point, you probably have a pretty good chance at doing some things in the positive. But the Steelers ended up dropping all that money to really a second-rate receiver. And I'm not saying that now. I had written that 6 months ago. I was happy they got somebody, right? They had just basically gotten rid of George Pickens. But what happens when you bring in a second-rate receiver who you want it to be the number one? That never works out, guys. That never works out. A receiver needs to do 2 things, just like a quarterback needs to do 2 things. Number one, quarterback needs to be able to read a defense, especially at the line. Number 2, they need to throw accurately. You could be 6'5", you could be 5'11", you could be a running quarterback, you could be a pocket quarterback. It does not matter. You need to be able to read a defense and be able to throw accurately. You do those things and you're going to succeed in the NFL. For a receiver, there are 2 things you really need to do. Number 1, you need to create separation. And number 2, you got to have good hands. Guess what, guys? DK Metcalf gets paid to be a Jamar Chase, but he plays like TJ Hooker. Yes. I know that doesn't make any sense, but it's the first thing that came to my mind. So, now what? What are you going to do with your number 1 receiver who can't catch and can't create separation, especially with his God-given ability? It's a no-win thing. It's the easy reaction to go out and say, fire everybody. Everyone does it. Every fan base does it. Every week, it's fire this guy, fire that guy. But this is different. This is Mike Tomlin, who's been here for 19 seasons, who's made the playoffs 5 times in those 19 seasons. He won a Super Bowl in 2009, and really, technically, that was the 2008 season. It's really the 2008 season. Guys, it's 2025. You have any idea what's happened since then? I think the iPhone came out in 2008, the first iPhone, I think. I think we're at 17 now. So what is Art Rooney, junior, senior, third, fourth, fifth? I don't know anymore who's what. The only Art Rooney senior to me is the Chief. That's always going to be Art Rooney senior. And then you had Dan Rooney, his son. But now you have Art Rooney Jr. And Art Rooney Jr. is not doing anyone any favors. And I'm going to remind everybody of this so that you know, because you look at what's going on in Chicago. Some of us Steeler fans had said 2 years ago, before Ben Johnson became the Bears coach, we said, I want that guy. We want Ben Johnson. And he would have come here too. Because any coach worth his salt, and he is, and you're seeing it already, would take the Steeler job above any job in the NFL. Why? Because of the longevity, because of what the Steelers have done since 1969. They've only had 3 coaches. And the first 2 had to retire for them to be replaced. So Art Rooney Jr. needs to buck that trend, because at least with Chuck Noll, he understood that his time was up and he left. And when he was coaching in the 80s and doing his best, it was at a time where they just weren't hitting on any quarterbacks in the draft. And at that time, much like it was maybe a few years back, you didn't have a quarterback, you're toast. This year, that might buck the trend. You might see a marginal quarterback win a Super Bowl. Think about it. You got Sam Darnold, you got C.J. Stroud, you got Bo Nix, Drake May. I mean, these guys might be great later, but they're not great now. You could say Matt Stafford is the only guy that's great. And he's like great. He's like on that line. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's probably going to win MVP, but he's still on that line. He's not anywhere near Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes or Peyton Manning or even Ben Roethlisberger, but he's right there. That's the best quarterback you have there. Brock Purdy's another good quarterback, but not great. So you're probably going to get a marginal quarterback, marginal in terms of what we're used to, win a Super Bowl this year. And that happens once in a while. It does. I mean, Trent Dilford won one in 2000 because the Ravens defense was really good. Brad Johnson won in 2002 with Tampa Bay, and their defense was amazing, right? Hell, even Ben Roethlisberger. Yes, we know he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. We know he's. But his second year in the NFL, he had the worst rate. He had the worst quarterback rating for a winning Super Bowl in Super Bowl 40. So you're going to see a good quarterback likely win a championship this year, maybe even average in a lot of ways, above average, C+, B- quarterback that might win the Super Bowl this year. And it's too bad, too, because if things could have tightened up a little bit for the Steelers, all that money that they spent on the defense, if they could have just figured that out, there might have been a nice little gap here for Aaron Rodgers to go out on top. I think if Aaron Rodgers is really contemplating staying, I would be happy to have him come back, but the team would have to be 180 degrees the other way in terms of talent. But I don't think this team is capable of creating the results, because Mike Tomlin is not only a average coach, if not below average. He doesn't really develop anybody. Like, you don't see him really develop any players. You look at the draft picks during the 2000s and the 90s. Even in the 90s, there were some busts. Don't get me wrong, Huey Richardson, Jermaine Stevens, but you also did have some really, really great players in between there and a lot of it was kind of second round picks, third round picks. You had Hainsworth that got picked in the third, Joey Porter. You had a lot of great guys in the 90s that were actually picked not in the first as much. As a matter of fact, they had really good drafts outside the first in the 90s, and that actually ended up creating that like base to get what eventually was, in my view, as good of a draft decade as any team in the NFL in the 2000s. I mean, they drafted Casey Hampton, Ben Roethlisberger, Troy Polamalu, Heath Miller, Lawrence Timmons. I mean, these are all first-round hits, and they were big hits. Talking about some of those guys are Hall of Famers. One's already a Hall of Famer. One's going to be a Hall of Famer. One should be a Hall of Famer, right? I mean, even Plaxico Burress was a very good receiver and helping the Giants win a Super Bowl in 07. So the next step has to be, what are you going to do to put this thing together in a way so that we can get out of this mediocrity, this 10-7, 9-8 mentality? It's still there. It still lingers, and it doesn't go away. When is it enough? When is it enough? It's time. It's time, and I'll get to more of that in a minute. I'm gonna go down the line here. So the Steelers were in this game obviously for 3 quarters and some change. They started the game off with a field goal, and then I don't know where Christian Kirk came from, but apparently turned into Jerry Rice tonight. And that's, again, another thing with the Steelers. There's always some no-show, some half-wit bomb that goes off on the Steelers in a random game. It's like textbook. That's another standard of the standard with a Mike Tomlin coach team. And Nico Collins got the hell beat out of him tonight to the point where his brain almost landed inside the freaking field. Yet they had Christian Kirk whoop their ass with C.J. Stroud not even be able to hold the damn ball on any shotguns in any way. So this is where you're at. This is where you're at. And they started up 3-0, which said a lot considering usually they were pretty much in double digits right out the gate. So they were pretty good. They actually had the lead going out of the first quarter, which had been the first time I can't even remember the last time they did that. I think maybe against the Chiefs in 16. I don't know. I'd have to go look back and see that. But then it was 7-6 at the half, and then everything kind of went downhill. Texans got another field goal, went up 10-6. Then Rankins picked up a ball on a sack, went to the house. Then I think the next series, Woody Marks, who I think ran for 100 yards on the Steelers. I don't even know who the hell Woody Marks is. That pretty much put the seal down on that one. And then to put a nice button on everything, Kalen Bullock got a 50-yard interception off of Rodgers for a 30-6 loss. So after all that, you still got your ass destroyed at home, looking like you don't know how to coach. Because you don't. Mike Tomlin, and this is the amazing part, guys. I have watched every single Mike Tomlin coached game. Every one. He is at best C+. At best. Not even a B-. I'm not suckered into the moment right now. This has been something a lot of us Steeler fans have said for a good probably 6-7 years. Matter of fact, it actually started after the Tebow game, the loss to Tim Tebow in the playoffs. How do you lose to Tim Tebow? How does that even happen? Where's your like as you're going through that second, third quarter, like how are you allowing yourself to go into overtime against a Tim Tebow captain team? And I love Tim Tebow in terms of the person, but that guy could not throw the ball. How do you lose to him in a playoff game? I don't care if it was in Denver. That was really the first sign to me. And he lost to Baker Mayfield before he even knew what was going on. He lost to Blake Bortles. He lost to C.J. Stroud now. This guy keeps losing to marginal quarterbacks, great quarterbacks, whether it's Josh Allen, whether it's Patrick Mahomes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't freaking matter. This guy loses to everyone because he sucks. He sucks. He should never have seen the Steelers sideline 5 years ago. 5 years ago at best. So here we are. It's the end of the 2025 season. Another year where we're constantly going up and down, wasting our time watching zero progress. Zero progress. And the Steelers are about Super Bowls, guys. Okay? They've been to 8 of them in what will be the 60th Super Bowl this year. 8 of them. They've won 6. They are the standard of the Super Bowl era. Their win totals are, I think, second all time behind the San Francisco 49ers, I believe. They have the most Super Bowls. This is supposed to be about excellence. If you're battling and you're winning, a couple games here and there, and you're still not able to get over the hump, that's one thing. And you're losing to a Tom Brady or a Patrick Mahomes or even a Josh Allen, fine. But losing to C.J. Stroud, losing to Baker Mayfield, not only losing to Baker Mayfield, I think they were down 28-0 in that game against Cleveland. Lose to Tim Tebow, lose to Blake Bortles? When is it enough? When is it enough? I think I see some new names here. Jay's plays. I've seen you. It's time. Tomlin needs to go. Absolutely. BC, what's up, bud? Dr. C, the standard is the standard, Mike. Yeah, well, the standard is average, below average, actually. Below average tonight was a F. It was even worse. This was a fail. Yes, CJ Stroud was bad. Do not be surprised if they get blown up next week. Do not be surprised. And New England is not that good on offense either. Tomlin's last game, Joe. God, I hope so, JY. I really, really hope so. For this thumbnail, absolutely. Rodgers being Rodgers. Well, Rodgers, I commend him for pumping up his favorite coach of all time. But with all due respect, Aaron Rodgers, your favorite coach can't coach, and he hasn't been able to coach. Rooney's don't fire coaches for whatever reason. I mean, I know the reason why, but they're going to have to make an exception here. Then Tomlin needs to take accountability. Well, accountability at some point, if he's going to take accountability, he would have taken it a while ago. He's not the type to take accountability. He's not going to get on the mic. He's going to come up with some quip. I stopped listening to his post game. I stopped listening to his post game interviews because I got tired of the regurgitation of the cute quips. A lot of times when I hear people doing this too much, and the results are this. I can't listen to it anymore. Oh, the Lakers are down 7 and then now 14. I think it's been a minute though. I don't know. Is it 8:31? So I don't know what's happened since 9 minutes ago. I'll have to check that out. I'm going to do a show here for about maybe 45 minutes and then I'll get onto the game. But I wanted to do what will be probably one of the last Steelers shows of this next couple of weeks, and then maybe start getting into some more shows once the Super Bowl is over. I'll have to wait and see. What's up, dude? What's up, SB? Lakers are getting their asses kicked by Sacramento. I kind of felt like that was going to happen, by the way. I don't know. I just felt it, especially with the way the Kings played in the last game. This is karma for letting Tebow win a playoff game when he couldn't even complete half his passes. See, that's the other problem. That should have been the sign. That should have been like the warning to lose to Tim Tebow. I know Brady lost to Mark Sanchez, but that's, it happens. You'll lose to a bad quarterback once, okay. But then he lost to Blake Bortles. Then he lost to Baker Mayfield. Then he lost to C.J. Stroud. Like, what is it? At some point, it's like you keep losing to average quarterbacks. And a lot of those games are at home. Can't do it. I'm officially not rooting for the Steelers anymore until Tomlin's gone. I'm over this, man. The thing is, Batch, I don't know what to do. I respect the organization so much. They've done so much good. The Troy Polamalu's, the Ben Roethlisbergers, the Jerome Bettis's, they take care of their own people. It's very hard to get angry at the Rooneys because they are good people. But there is a problem here, and they have to address this. And I would highly recommend them making a call to the New York Giants and trading him for a draft pick, and then try and get a quarterback in the draft somehow. I don't know if Will Howard's going to be the guy. You can give him a shot, but this team needs they need a cleanup bad. Really bad. They got to clean it out. I don't know. We're going to talk about that here after the Super Bowl. We're going to have some bullet points here. I'm going to be a little bit more into the Steeler part of the show. For those of you who are here for the first time, this is called the Experiment. This is the Steeler edition. I've done about 4 or 5 shows of just Steeler content. A lot of my content is revolved around the Dodgers and the Lakers for those regulars that watch. But the Steelers are almost like kind of like my first love, my first deep love. I became a Dodger fan before a Steeler and Laker fan, but being a Steeler fan was like embedded because I'm a football guy. Football, in terms of my favorite sport, that's the one. Basketball and baseball are kind of like one. It's basically one, and then 1A, 1B with the sports. But anyways, we're going to talk more about this as time goes on. In the meantime, I wanted to again do a show to put the 2025 season to bed. I've been doing some production value type stuff here. I'm not sure if I like the pixelation type stuff here. I think I've been trying to work a little bit of the does it work better if you see me in the broken, like coming out the broken glass, or should I just be normal and not have any graphics? So here's another version of here's a regular version of not having anything here. So this is what I got here. So and I'm not getting any pixelations. But you can see my Steeler gear. I'm a Steeler fan, obviously. I actually do like this. I like that it's not all pixelated. So yeah, we'll do more shows after the Super Bowl. We'll do some draft stuff. We'll talk about probably the winner at that time, what they're doing right, and what the Steelers can do to take kind of advantage of that. But in the meantime, we're gonna start kind of winding this down a little bit in terms of finishing off the information on tonight's game. The Steelers didn't have any not one touchdown tonight. And the score wasn't as bad as the game was in terms of a blowout. Like the last 2 touchdowns were more, the game was already kind of put to bed. As soon as it was 17-6, the game was over. And Rodgers didn't have a good game. They didn't really have much of a running game. I thought the Steelers defense did as good of a job as they could do. I think the best player of the game was Joey Porter Jr. I thought he played pretty well. Other than that, I don't know. It really wasn't anybody else. DK Metcalf sucked. Rodgers didn't play well. Neither running backs were consistent. The offensive line was getting beat pretty regularly. Just bad game. Terrible game. They probably shouldn't have made the playoffs. If Mr. Loop would have made that kick, we wouldn't be talking right now in terms of why or what should have happened tonight. But that's it. It is what it is. I'll answer some of you guys' questions here. The game was close till about 10 minutes. Yes, it was. Maybe the Steelers need Phillip Rivers. I don't think so, Aaron. I think Phillip Rivers is to go back home. Here we go. Yes, here we go. Steelers. Here we go. Pittsburgh Steelers are not going to the Super Bowl. I totally made that up, by the way, because you guys know the rest. Bringing on the Texans. My Pat's still in it. Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Pats blow them out. Honestly, I think the Texans are bad. CJ Stroud has been kind of straddling on that line of, is this guy going to ascend yet? He's not. So, and he doesn't play well in the cold, which means it's going to be cold next week in the Northeast. Be careful. Any draft picks for the Steelers in the next draft, Joe? Yeah, there's plenty of draft picks. I think they have an extra third. Team is poverty. We have no number 2. We keep bringing in old quarterbacks past their prime. We go to the playoffs to get blown out and get a mid-first round pick. We're starting Mason over Howard. I'm done. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that, Batch. I think they're going to probably groom Will Howard to play next year if Aaron Rodgers decides to retire. But the most important part of this here is they have to replace the coach. And I don't know who. There was a report that Chris Shula might be an option. That's Dave Shula's son, Don Shula's the great Don Shula's grandson. I don't know anything about Chris Shula. I have no idea what he's done and how he does things. I've been paying attention to what's going on. I know Cliff Kingsbury is going to be available. I know a lot of people are talking to him in terms of getting his next job. I don't know if that's a guy that they'd want to get. I have no idea. I think what they're probably going to do is they're going to do a search for someone that hasn't coached before. They usually do it that way in terms of a head coach. When they hired Chuck Noll, he had never been a head coach. When they hired Bill Cowher, he'd never been a head coach. When they hired Mike Tomlin, they had never been a head coach. They like to have a new coach. I think either way, I don't care. Just get the right guy and make sure that Mike Tomlin is gone. And if you can get something for him, a second-round pick, a third-round pick, by sending him to New York, by sending him to Green Bay if they do decide to change their mind and over there and let LaFleur go, let's get going here. But I think this needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed immediately. Lakers are 3 of 23 from the three-point line. That's not too much of a surprise. Whoa, 4 of 25. Oh, great. They made one. I'll get to you guys on that in a few here, guys. I'm almost finished here. Tomlin loses 7 playoff games in a row, ties Marvin Lewis. And that's something to live for, right? Tomlin Lewis. So we're going to start calling Tomlin Marvin Tomlin. Marvin Tomlin. Everyone's going to know, right? I mean, they're one. They are one now. They are one. Marvin Tomlin are one. And, Marvin, I had a lot of respect for Marlon. Marlon was an assistant coach for the Steelers for back in the 90s. A very, 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 very nice guy. And not a bad coach, but again, you never know in Cincinnati, right? But it is what it is. But yeah, that's as dubious a record as you can have as a 19-year coach who everybody wax poetics as some great coach. Rich Eisen, I'd love to get on his show and really ask him, Rich, I want to ask you something. It's good to be rich, right? Yeah, it's good to be rich. That was one of his taglines when the NFL Network was being birthed. He has a really good talk show, by the way. I got to hand it to him. He has some really good interviews with really cool guests. It's almost like the best it's almost like the best talk show I think out there, in my view. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel stinks. Jimmy Fallon's okay. Who else? Who else does late night? I don't know. Whatever. But I want to know, and I want details on what exactly makes Mike Tomlin great and Hall of Fame worthy, because he's not. That guy belongs nowhere near Hall of Fame. He has been ass 90% of his career. If Tomlin goes into the Hall of Fame, then Jim Plunkett needs to go in the Hall of Fame, and George Seifert needs to go in the Hall of Fame. George Seifert won a championship in 1989 after Bill Walsh retired in '88. Won the second of the back-to-backs, and then continued to play coach the Bill Walsh team, right? That was Bill Walsh's team. Continued to play 90, 91, 92, 93, ran into the Dallas Cowboys at that time, and they were great, but then ended up having his own setup at some point and won in 94. At least he had his own team and won a second. How come no one wants to put George Seifert in the Hall of Fame for doing that? He won 2 Super Bowls with 2 different teams. One was Bill Walsh's team and one was his team. You never hear about that. Mike Tomlin wins 1 Super Bowl with almost all of Bill Cowher's guys and goes to another one. And he's this great coach that we have to continue to suck on all day. For what? Why? Why? Because he's cool? Because he has cool quips in interviews? Fuck that. Fuck your quips. You suck, Mike Tomlin. You suck at being a head coach. Seriously. Not because I wanted you to succeed more than anybody, but you suck. You don't know how to develop. You don't know how to win big games when it's merited now. You may have won them back then, but what 15, 17 years ago, what is that going to do? At what point are you going to get away from looking at what happened in 2009 through 2010? It's over. It's been 15 to 16 years later. The shit is still going on. Get rid of Mike Tomlin. It's done. It's over. Bye-bye. Art Rooney Jr., fix this damn problem already. Get some damn assets from this, too. You have idiots out there that think this guy can coach. Get him out! That's way better. I'm late on some of these comments. And he won't be going to the Super Bowl either. No, probably not. I'd say I'd say, I mean, this has got to be Josh Allen's time, but McDermott it's kind of like back and forth with him. Is he good enough to coach this team? He's going to have to prove it now. I just don't understand. We traded Pickens I'm fine with, but we don't replace him. I like what. See, they thought they were replacing Pickens with DK Metcalf, and then they thought Calvin Austin and Jonnu Smith and Muth and Darnell and all the guys would they thought they'd have this 3 tight end mega melt like a Megatron type offense. And then you have a couple of speedsters here and there, and then you have a DK that can go down the seams and go for touchdowns. What I don't understand is, am I the only one that watched DK Metcalf play at Seattle? Was he that good? The answer is no. He's not that good. He's not an A receiver, a 1 receiver. He got paid like an A1 receiver. He's never been an A1 receiver. They just didn't have A1 in Seattle. And what did they win in Seattle? Nothing. What is it? I don't understand. Maybe that's because that's the only guy they could have got. Maybe, without giving up too much, right? Hell, even Seattle got better without DK Metcalf. Look where they are. So how does that look? What if Seattle goes to the Super Bowl? 1 year out of getting rid of DK Metcalf, and they're in the Super Bowl. That's how important DK Metcalf was. That's how good he is. Is this me being unreasonable? Is this me living into the moment? No. There's a big difference when the Steelers were losing to the Patriots, to a really good Jacksonville team in 2007. There was a reason for that. Losing to Green Bay in the Super Bowl, even though that one killed me for a couple of years, man. That was bothering me. You lose to Aaron Rodgers. You lose to Tom Brady in his prime. At least you go, well, those are the best guys, right? Those are the best. And then maybe you might run into a team here and there that gets you on that day. Fine. But you gotta reciprocate sometimes, man. You gotta win the games you're not supposed to win sometimes, and win the games that you're supposed to win at home. You had a guy tonight who doesn't play well in cold weather and was giving you the game. Literally giving you the game. Dropping the ball, 4 times? Couldn't score a touchdown on not one of those damn turnovers. And for what? So for what? For a 10-7 and a playoff berth. The Charlotte Bobcats. The Steelers are the Charlotte Bobcats of the 2000s. That's essentially what they are. That competitive in the East, which in 2000s, the East was trash, worse than even now. Although right now it's kind of bad. But seriously, are you really happy about that? And the thing is, you don't got to go really, really down to the shitter in football. In football, you can find gems in the later rounds. You could find all pros in the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds. Hall of Fame, future Hall of Famers in those rounds. It's not like the NBA. NBA, even though Jokic has kind of bucked the trend there, and then you had Manu back in the day with 2nd-round picks being Hall of Famers. But that's 2 out of how many, right? 2 out of how many? In football, you can find absolute studs in all rounds, and it can flip your team right away. Get out of this rut, man. Get out of it. Move on. This guy sucks, and he sucked for a long time. Move, and for the love of God, bring in somebody with a half a brain on offense that can coach offense in some way. That's my beg for the night. Was it bad luck I dropped the Drip Show Aaron Rodgers canvas tonight? No, Drip, it's okay. I like Aaron Rodgers. I thought I enjoyed his play this year, even though he wasn't who he was. You can't expect that, but I enjoyed it. I saw some greatness that showed every now and then, and it was nice to see, because I've always been an Aaron Rodgers fan, always, even way before. Just because I think a lot of it's because he makes people uncomfortable, because his intellect is a little bit above everybody else's, and people always want to get into your business, and he kind of sticks it to them, right? I think that has a lot to do with it. But it's been nice to see Aaron Rodgers play this year as a Steeler. I was cheering for him. I really was, and I'm cheering for him still. I hope he does well. If it's indeed his last game, you had a great career. See you in the Hall of Fame in 5 years. Reg Dog, what's up, man? I like the black and gold LA thing, man. Yeah, it was embarrassing. It was really bad. And it looks like the Lakers are, let me see. What's the score now in LA? So they're only down 11 with 8:46 left. I'll keep following it because I gotta head over there in a little bit. But I'll let's see. Bears, baby, Bears. Yeah, we'll see about that next week. It's gonna be cold in Chicago next week too. Allen versus Stafford could break the record for most points in a Super Bowl. Yeah, 75. That's Super Bowl. You're talking about Super Bowl 29. You're talking about Super Bowl 29. Chargers and Niners, 49-26, I believe it was. Yeah. I think the NFL would like that. Who do you cheer for? Do you cheer for Stafford or do you cheer for Allen? I think at this point, everyone wants Buffalo to win the Super Bowl. I think it'd be nice if Buffalo would win a Super Bowl. I think they deserve it, especially with I think they're getting a new stadium too. I think that would work. Lakers getting spanked. SMH. They're down 10 now. Actually, they're down 9 now. We'll see how it comes out at the end here. Let's see here. Bears acting like they won the Super Bowl. Well, it's the first win they've had in 15 seasons. You got to give them a little bit of credit there. But I like Ben Johnson. I don't know if Caleb Williams is going to be the guy for the next 10 years. Still got to wait. But he's getting a lot of help with Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is he's him. He's him. And if Caleb continues to improve and work and always work, then the Bears will be competitive for the next decade. So, again, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I wanted to do a quick 45-minute show here to commiserate the 2025 season. Unfortunately, it ends in a playoff loss in the wild card game to the Houston Texans, 30-6. I will be back probably in a few weeks after the Super Bowl when we probably start getting some ideas on what the Steelers' direction is going to be for the draft, as well as coaching and players and roster. So until next time, I want to say good morning, good afternoon, and good night. And until next time, I'll see you next time.